like something they buy into.
Yep. You can always hook with a big promise and walk backwards to something that's more believable.
But again, if you look at like what the how they would pitch this extraordinary idea, the copywriter was here, was they would focus more on the religious outrage, controversial aspect of it. With stem cells just being kind of the means, the thing that's causing all the controversy and the thing that's going to make you money. But it didn't really get into the science, didn't really get into biotech even, really. I'm not even sure where the word biotech shows up, but it's not even on the first page. Okay, last one, number 3.
Hey Ryan, I got a quick question
Sure.
for you. Do you have numbers for how much these promos did?
I don't have numbers. I know all these were pretty big successes at the time. The only one that's actually ours was Haven's Been Robbed, and I don't know if those numbers, what that would, the equivalent would have been today with our file size and things. But how much did that one do?
Probably 6-7 million.
6-7 million, and this was like 5-6 years ago. So, if we had the same amount of names in the front end, I don't know what that number would be magnified by.
The Obama one, I think, was like 110,000 front end names. That's good.
Stephen Melise wrote that for Stansberg.
I would say anything above 20,000 on the front end is going to be a hit, and anything above $1 million, $1.5 million on the back end is a hit. So that first one did 10x the times of a hit, let's say, or let's call it 6x the times of a hit. And the second one did 5x the times of a back end hit.
Okay, last one. This is for the gold numismatic coins. U.S. Treasury Department gold glitch allows you to make a killing after gold prices rise. Forget unpredictable stocks, bonds, real estate, mutual funds. Now that gold prices are up, there's an opportunity to safely triple your money or more thanks to a glitch from the U.S. Treasury Department. A study done by the House and Senate Joint Committee on Taxation showed the average annual return on this investment was more than 300% greater than the return on gold. So you can see that one, that there's social proof, right? The social proof and authority of the U.S. Treasury Department, and also the congressional study on that. You can see there's a promise in it: triple your money, 3 times what gold. And it just actually came out after gold was already going up. So a lot of people were thinking like, well, I missed out. How do I make money from gold because I wasn't on the ground floor? This is like a second chance. And the gold glitch, what is that? I don't know, but it sounds like a really interesting mechanism. You can read into the promo what the glitch is, but essentially it goes back to the fact that a lot of these coins were taken off the market and melted because the FDR confiscated them in the 1930s, which is why some of these particular coins are worth a lot of money. So people read that and they think glitch, something happening now, but really it was something that happened probably 80 years ago. But the implications were, at the time, were immediate because the promise was they could triple what they were making in gold by taking advantage of this glitch. Any questions on that one?
So if it happened 80 years ago, how can you take advantage of it now?
Well, the logic is, and this isn't in the copy, it's a little bit explained, is the fact that like FDR confiscated a lot of these coins and melted them. So therefore, if you bought some now, they're worth numismatic value, meaning like they're collectible items.
Oh, the ones that weren't melted?
Yeah, those are the ones that the analyst was suggesting to buy. Some of them have been like, ridiculous amounts. Some were, I don't know how much more they were than an ounce of gold. Apparently 3 times more, worth 3 times more than the same equivalent amount in a bullion coin. Any questions on that?
Ken, just to say, this part is the most important part of the process because it's the base, the foundation of the idea that you're going to put 40 pages of work behind and proof behind. But if you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I'm still not getting it, this seems weird, I don't understand what the difference of those ideas versus the one I pitched was, I don't understand why people may have liked my idea or hated my idea as a group. This is the exact process that is the hardest process to get as a copywriter. This process is what separates our business Agora, and then let's say specifically Agora Financial from any of our competitors. Our competitors never do anything like this. So if you're sitting there and you're like, man, this is really hard to understand, or I'm not sure I'm getting it, that's totally natural. It's only in kind of the rediscovery time and time again of reading a piece of copy and trying to work your way backwards and say, what's the ordinary idea in that copy I just read? How did they make it extraordinary, and then how do they express that extraordinary into the headline complex? It's only through the repetition of that process that you'll really get to see it. And at some point, the proverbial light bulb goes off and you're like, ah, now I get it. But if you're not getting it yet, if you're sitting there and you're like, damn, I just still don't get it, totally fine to feel that way. So there's nothing abnormal about how you may be feeling. And normally you know a good idea when you say, damn, why didn't I think of that? Like when you get jealous of not being able to think. Like I read that Obama Maines one. Actually, I read all three of these because none of those are mine.
Very obvious and simplistic.
Yeah, and I read it and I'm like, damn it, that's such a good idea. Why did I not think of that? So if you're thinking that too, it happens to all of us all the time when you see a good idea. That's normally how you know you're excited about someone else's idea too. When they tell you an idea and you're like, damn, that's so good, I should have thought of that.
All right. Any final questions on the big idea before we move on to next
I have a
session?
quick question about what should be included in the big idea. I know Joe keeps talking about, the money claim. Is there some other elements that we should be also keeping in mind?
It was on that list I gave out last week.
Oh, okay.
The
Well, I'll
elements
read
of
that.
it. But if you look at that one too, it just there's a couple ones that I think are pretty important. Like social proof is pretty important usually. Some sort of track
I
record.
don't mean what's important. I mean what's relevant to investments.
Relevant as far as what?
Investment, letters for investment. So obviously the income claim would have to be in there.
Yeah,
something
I'll give you 4 really easy ones to look at your headline complex. Take this with a grain of salt, but if you're looking for something that super easy, rememberable, when you look at a headline, how do you judge it very quickly? And I'm going to give these to you, but I'm going to give them to you with a caveat. Just having these things doesn't make your idea work. You
Right.
still need a good idea. When
Right.
you have a good idea, what I'm about to tell you refines it a little bit. And they're called the 4 U's. So you should write this down if you're not writing. And I'm not going to do these in any type of order, but I'm just going to give them to you. Number 1 is unique. Is that idea unique? The Maine's income secret hidden in Obama's tax returns. I don't know. I judge that as pretty unique. If I gotta get a thumbs up or thumbs down, I give it a thumbs up, right? Is it urgent?
Is this the Pennsylvania question?
No. So is it urgent? Right? Do you have something in that headline complex that is going to tell me that I should need to act right now? And again, you don't need all 4 of these things. If you have a good idea, you should try to work as many of these in as possible. Is it useful to the prospect? This is where, coming back to what I was critiquing you guys on, FDR is the fastest. What was the ass end of that idea? FDR is the fastest, the secret war on art. It's not useful for me, Grandpa Kurt, so it fails the useful test.
Yeah. What's in it for me? You know the way I think of that.
Yep. So is it useful? And then the 4th one is someone that just wanted to make a U out of this idea that didn't have a U, and they called it ultra-specific. So rather than make a lot of money with the government's war on art, that's not ultra-specific. Make 852% on the government's secret war on art. As long as you act before January 29th, 2018, now you're starting to build in some stuff in there, right? Because you got the usefulness in there, because you can make a lot of money, you got the urgency in there, you got ultra specificity in there. So, again, you can't have a shit idea and put 4 U's into it and be like, boom, breakthrough, right? You still need to have an amazing idea. When you have an amazing idea, the 4 U's will help you with your headline complex understand what should be in the headline complex and what shouldn't. So again, just to put a point on this, let's look at Heaven's Been Robbed, right? Heaven's Been Robbed. Is that unique? That God's power to grant eternal life has been stolen by stem cell scientists in California? That's pretty unique. I've never heard that before. Is it useful? Yeah, because I might be able to become immortal from it. Is it urgent? Well, you look at in this way, you look at the publisher's note of apology, right? You got midnight Wednesday, February 20th, so there you go. Is it ultra specific? Not really. So it fails on kind of one of the 4s and it still makes $6 million because it's a great idea, right? So you don't need to pack all 4 of the U's. It's better if you probably pack it as much as you can. Does that help answer the question about what should be included? You wanna talk about next week?
Yep, next week.
Or
Wednesday, next session. I'd like you to go, this is in addition to what you're doing already in Dale, this is an extra assignment, it's not a replacement assignment. Go into Iris and find a promotion that's working right now, okay? If you don't know how to do that, then let us know. You should probably learn how to do that. And then I'd like you to print it out on paper and then circle what you think are all the key elements of why that promotion worked. So very similar, you saw examples from Joe's sweat file with the 60 ones we're doing every day. Your version of that. It doesn't have to necessarily use Joe's exact methods or how he labels things, but to your best ability, you know, what are all the pieces and parts and how do they relate? Can you diagram that out on using pen and ink on a printed version of our promotion? All right, and bring that along Wednesday. Okay, so who learned something today? Go ahead.
Well, just about the general, you can't be too smart with your ideas. They need to think fancy or sounding cool. It is not the idea of a big idea. It really has to be impactful and just novel, and that's not, and words don't make something novel.
So how's that going to change how you do things?
Well, I'm not going to try and make things sound cool anymore. I'm going to really try to get to the guts of it from the beginning.
So as opposed to trying to make it sound cool, really find cool ideas. They're just, the ideas themselves are cool.
Yeah.
As opposed to just trying to take something maybe boring and make it sound
Put
cool
on
copy.
a fresh coat of paint and stop doing
Okay.
that.
Good.
I know for me, looking at this President Obama's